Billionaire discovers incredible bond, heartwarming moment with his son and the unexpected cleaner. In the glimmering expanse of Oakwood Heights, the name James Thompson commanded respect, envy, and awe. His mansion sparkled with a brilliance that seemed almost otherworldly, the sprawling estate a testament to wealth and ambition. He had everything: a fortune built on luxury developments, a fleet of gleaming cars, and a reputation as a titan of industry. But as he polished the final touches on his latest neighborhood project, the dazzling facade hid a deep fracture in his life. His 16-year-old son, Jake, drifting further into the shadows of his father's ambitions. Jake wandered the marble halls of their mansion, feeling like an unwelcome ghost. Each room echoed with a harsh reminder of expectations: the grand piano that never played a note, the trophies that celebrated achievements he never earned, and a father who viewed love through a spreadsheet of wealth. The pressure to succeed showed in Jake's heavy heart, and he longed for a connection that seemed just out of reach. On a bright Saturday morning, Maria stepped into the Thompson household. A diligent cleaner, she wore a weary smile that seemed to carry the weight of her world: a cramped apartment with her young daughter to raise. Scrubbing floors and polishing glass in James's immaculate mansion was a world away from her daily struggles. But today, as Maria moved through the home, her warmth filled each corner. As Maria cleaned, Jake found himself drawn to her, an oasis of genuine warmth in his father's harsh architectural masterpiece. "I'm just trying to make it shine," Maria said, humor lighting up her tired eyes as she scrubbed the gleaming marble. "But you can never truly shine without a little love. You know?" Those words broke through Jake's lonely exterior. Day by day, they shared stories that painted bright colors over the dulled canvas of his life. In her tales of resilience, Maria spun a world rich with colors of laughter, dreams, and hope amid struggle. Jake felt a laughter he thought was lost forever coming back. Each moment felt like discovering fire in a world of ice. He was mesmerized by the beauty of her undeterred spirit, but then came a storm. Maria faced an unexpected crisis at work, an issue threatening her job security. As she confided in Jake with worry etched across her face, he felt an awakening, an obligation that pulled him from the shadows of his gilded cage. Torn between his father's ruthless expectations and Maria's raw honesty, Jake stood at a crossroads. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Conflict brewed thick in the Thompson household. James, unable to shift his view of merit solely tied to wealth, made decisions that alienated Jake further. Tension surged like a storm cloud, heavy with expectation. As anger flickered in Jake's chest, Maria's struggles mirrored his own quiet battles, highlighting the chasm of unfulfilled love and connection. Suffocated by riches yet yearning for authenticity, Jake stared into a mirror reflecting a family blind to the very essence of life: love. As Maria's voice resonated in his heart, he wrestled with the choice that could intertwine their destinies. Just when the moment felt right to reach out, an unexpected event rattled the foundation of both their lives, pushing them toward an inevitable confrontation. As secrets loomed and values clashed, change hung in the air. Would James finally grasp what lay beyond wealth's shimmering surface, or would he remain blind to the profound power of love and connection? In this moment of uncertainty, every breath felt like a choice waiting to be made, setting the stage for a journey that would transform them all. The future hung in the balance, as Jake's heart raced toward a decision that could alter everything. The following week crept forward, each day dragging heavy with anticipation and unresolved tension. Jake felt it seep through the walls of the mansion like a chill that gnawed at his spirit. James was more relentless than ever, pushing Jake to engage in endless discussions about business initiatives and future investments, his voice booming through the marble halls, drowning Jake's inner pleas for something more meaningful. Jake's heart ached. He watched his father, a man so driven, so consumed by the specter of success that he couldn't see the son who stood right before him, desperate for acknowledgement. As much as Jake loathed the corporate chatter, he found himself mulling over Maria's words about love, about shining from within. Where could he find that love? Where could he nurture the spark that had started to blossom when he spoke to her? Every day after school, Jake sought solace in the few moments Maria spent cleaning the mansion. Her laughter echoed in his mind long after she left, filling him with a bittersweet joy. They talked of aspirations and dreams, of the price that had to be paid for happiness. Maria, so humble and genuine, reminded him that everything didn't revolve around luxury. There existed a world beyond gilded gates, bursting with possibilities, and Jake desired to take the leap with her. One rainy afternoon, around the time Maria usually arrived for her shift, Jake slipped into the kitchen looking for an escape from the ceaseless pressure that loomed above him. He noticed a change in the air, a stillness, a heaviness that urged him to act. He flipped open his phone and texted her, a simple, "Can we talk?" It felt potent. Who knew if she could respond? But something inside him deepened, necessary and urgent, as he awaited her reply. Minutes ticked by like hours, each one filled with doubt. Just as he began to wonder if he miscalculated, his phone vibrated. It was Maria. Of course. I'll be there in a few. When Maria arrived, her wet hair clung to her cheeks, yet she carried a radiant glow as if the rain had breathed new life into her. In that moment, Jake felt like he was waking up from a long dream, the brightness of her presence busting the clouds hovering in his mind. "Hey there, what's on your mind?" she asked, wiping her hands on her apron, her gaze steady and inviting. I wanted to talk about everything, life," he began, his voice shaky, layering every word with the gravity of his fears. "I feel trapped here, Maria. Like I'm higher than the clouds but I'm drowning down below." Maria nodded, her trust in him like a soft blanket, inviting him to open up. "It's hard, isn't it? The pressure seems endless," she replied, a knowing light in her eyes. "What do you want, Jake?" The question hung in the air, profound and formidable. This was the moment of vulnerability Jake had long avoided. He took a deep breath, gathering his courage. "I want to break free but I don't know how." His heart raced as he spoke the truth. Would expressing this desire ignite a spark of change, or would it snuff out the flickering flame of hope he and Maria had begun to build? In that tense moment, the world outside faded. All that existed was the flickering light in Maria's eyes and the rhythm of two hearts searching for the courage to leap into the unknown. But before either could respond fully, a sudden sound broke their moment, a sharp, angry voice echoing through the kitchen door. It was James, and he had just stepped into his son's sanctuary, looking for answers he wasn't ready to find. "Jake! I need to speak with you. Now." The weight of impending confrontation hung heavily between them, pulling Jake back into the shadows. Would he retreat into his father's expectations, or would he take a stand next to the woman who had brightened his life? He could feel their eyes shifting towards the open door, and he knew he was standing at another crossroads. What would he choose this time? Jake felt the walls of the kitchen close in, a tension so thick he could almost taste it. He glanced at Maria, her expression shifting from warmth to concern. His father's presence was like a storm rolling in, dark and unyielding, threatening to sweep him away just when he was on the verge of something real. "Jake, are you coming?" James called again, impatience seeping into his tone. The moment felt fragile, like a bubble that could pop at any second. Jake swallowed hard, torn between the comforting pull of Maria's gaze and his father's authority demanding his immediate attention. He took a step toward the door, struggling against the weight of expectation pressing down on him. "I'll be right there," he said, still searching Maria's eyes, hoping for encouragement. She offered a small smile, though worry veiled her features. "You can do this," she whispered, and with those words igniting a flicker of determination, he turned back to the doorway. "Yeah, Dad?" Jake asked, bracing himself as he stepped into the hallway, where the echo of their voices lingered. James stood there, arms crossed, face taut with frustration. What were you doing in the kitchen? You need to focus on upcoming meetings, not play around. James's voice was a booming command, drowning out the quieter parts of Jake's heart that wanted to argue. I wasn't playing, he began, but a wave of defiance bubbled up, firmly rooted in the conversations he had just shared with Maria. I need to talk to you about my future too, Dad, Jake interjected, surprising even himself. James's brows knitted together. Your future? What do you know about the real world? This is about responsibility and building a legacy. Jake's pulse quickened. Legacy. Was that all there was to it? But I don't want it to just be about money, he shot back, each word fueled by the courage Maria had inspired in him. I want something more than that. I want to be happy. James's face twisted in disbelief, a fleeting flicker of surprise before annoyance took over. Happy? Happiness doesn't pay the bills, Jake. You need to learn that. Maybe I don't want to pay the bills in the shadow of your expectations. The words slipped out faster than he could stop them, ringing in the silence that followed. For a split second, the air crackled with a tension that could change everything. Much to his surprise, James took a step back, the wind knocked out of him by Jake's uncharacteristic outburst. For a brief moment, the strained silence filled the hall, stretching into infinity. Jake could feel his heart racing, not out of fear but from a blossoming sense of freedom. Is that how you really feel? James asked quietly, almost frightened by the vulnerability exposed in his son's tone. Jake hesitated, wrestling with what to say next. It was as if he stood on the edge of a cliff, the possibility of flight below him and the call of the familiar behind. I just want to be heard, he admitted, his voice softer. James studied him, his expression shifting from anger to confusion and now something closer to introspection. I've always wanted the best for you, Jake. I thought this was what you wanted too. Then let me choose, Jake replied, feeling lighter, despite the uncertainty lingering in the air. Let me find my own path. The door to possibility hung open just wide enough for hope to seep in, but it remained precarious. Jake could sense the bond between him and his father trembling on the precipice of something new. Just then, Maria stepped forward, her presence grounding amid the storm. Maybe all he needs is a chance, Mr. Morgan, she said, her voice strong. Sometimes it takes a leap of faith to really see what's possible. Her words hung like a lifeline between them, pushing against the weight of years spent in silence. Jake met his father's gaze, daring him to take that leap with him, and in that charged moment, Jake realized he wasn't just fighting for his own freedom, he was also fighting for a new connection with the man he had always longed to reach. But would James be willing to let go and embrace the unknown, as uncertainty filled the air? Both father and son stood at the crossroads of a potential rebirth. Only time would tell which path they would choose. The silence stretched between them, thick like a fog that refused to lift. Jake's heart pounded in his chest, the weight of the moment amplifying every beat. He watched his father process the weight of his words, the barrier of confidence crumbling just a little. James opened his mouth, ready to fill the quiet with a rebuttal, but no sound came. Instead, a flicker of introspection crossed his face. It was a change so subtle, yet so profound. You want me to let you choose your path? His voice trailed off, the concept settling in like a stone dropped in a pond, sending ripples of uncertainty through the air. Yeah, Dad. It's not about the money for me. It's about how I feel when I wake up each morning. Jake took a step closer, letting the rawness of his confession seep into the space between them. I want to wake up and know I'm doing what I love, not just what's expected of me. Expected? James scoffed, but it was devoid of anger. You make it sound like I want something from you that you can't give. Maybe you don't see it that way, but that's how it feels to me. Jake's voice shook slightly, betraying the vulnerability beneath. It feels like I'm living in a future you've carved out for me. I just want my own chance to shape that future, even if it's messy or different from what you envisioned. The silence returned, heavy, but this time it felt more like potential than despair. Maria watched the exchange, her heart pounding with hope. She could see the gears turning in James's mind, his resolve wavering under the new weight of his son's honesty. "If I let you choose," James finally whispered, "what if you fail?" The challenge hung in the air. It felt like a spark had ignited, the kind that could either fizzle out or light a fire. "Then I will fail, but at least I tried," Jake replied earnestly, fear and excitement mixing in his gut. "What's worse is living a life that doesn't feel like my own." James moved a little, eyes shifting from Jake to Maria and back. The shift in his demeanor was almost tangible, as a hint of softness broke through the hard exterior built over years. "You think I'm angry with you?" "Not angry, but you seem disappointed." Jake bit his lip, feeling the vulnerability that came with honesty. "I think you just want better for me, but sometimes the better you want isn't what I want." James sighed deeply, running a hand through his hair, a telltale sign of his inner turmoil. "Life has been a grind, Jake. I thought I was preparing you for the reality of it. But maybe I failed to see, maybe you failed to see that I'm not you," Jake interjected gently. "I want to make mistakes, learn, grow. Isn't that what life is about?" James looked at Maria as if she held the key to something he was just beginning to realize, the notion that happiness could drive ambition, not just survival. Yet he stood there, caught between the father he was and the father he hoped to become. "Your happiness matters, you know," Maria added softly, stepping further into the conversation. "It shouldn't be just a side note in your journey. We all want to feel fulfilled, to find purpose." Jake's eyes glistened with the warmth of her support, but he knew the question lingered in the air, unanswered. Would James finally take that chance? Would he usher in a new chapter for both of them? Another profound silence gripped them as James stared into his son's eyes. They stood on the precipice of change, the future unfurling like a delicate flower. Each heartbeat felt louder, filled with an urgency that trembled on the edge of awareness. At last, James shifted on his feet, the crack in his resolve widening. "You said you want to be heard. Would you be willing to tell me what that means to you?" The question hung in the air, a bridge between their worlds. Jake felt his breath hitch in his throat. This was the moment he had waited for, the chance to lay it all out. "It means..." But before he could finish, an unexpected sound cut through the emotional intensity. A loud crash came from the living room. Both men jumped, the delicate moment fracturing as they turned their heads in unison. "What the hell was that?" James exclaimed, the fierce urgency of the situation pulling them back into the present. Jake's heart raced as he exchanged wide-eyed glances with Maria. Neither knew what awaited them, but one thing was clear, this wasn't going to be a simple resolution. "Let us go check it out," Jake said, his voice steadier, bolstered by the uncertainty that still clung to the air. As they rushed toward the noise, Jake couldn't help but wonder, what would this unexpected turn mean for them? Would it derail their progress, or was it the catalyst they didn't know they needed? Jake led the way, his heart thumping in his chest, each step echoing off the walls like the rising tension in the air. They reached the doorway to the living room, and the sight that met them left them momentarily speechless. A tall bookcase had toppled over, books and framed pictures strewn across the floor like fallen soldiers. In the middle of the chaos stood a stranger, a young woman with wild hair and wide eyes, her face flushed in panic. She knelt beside the wreckage, trying to salvage what she could, her hands trembling. "What happened here?" James demanded, the authoritative tone he often used in business resurfacing amid the chaos. The woman looked up, startled. I was just trying to clean the dust on the top shelf, and it wobbled. I didn't mean to. Do you work here?" Jake stepped forward, a mix of concern and confusion flooding his voice. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine," she stuttered, brushing her hands on her faded jeans as if trying to shake off the embarrassment. "I just started. I'm Emma." James's brow furrowed as he assessed the situation. "Emma, you should have been more careful. This isn't just a mess, it's a lot of damage." He glanced at the disarray around them, his annoyance evident. "But it's fixable, sir," she insisted, her voice gaining strength. "I'll make sure everything gets cleaned up, I promise. Just give me some time." Jake observed Emma closely and sensed her desperation wrapped in determination. He could see the shadows of worry in her eyes, and oddly, it stirred something within him, a connection he couldn't entirely explain. "Dad, maybe we should take a breath," Jake suggested, stepping in to diffuse the tension. "Accidents happen. Let us not make it worse for her." James turned to Jake, about to respond, but something in his son's voice stopped him. The plea in Jake's eyes reminded him of the conversation they'd just had, the need for understanding, the importance of compassion. "All right, Emma. Just be careful next time," James said, his tone softening slightly. "We'll find a way to fix this." "Thank you." Emma's eyes widened, relief washing over her. "I really didn't mean for any of this to happen." She offered a weak smile, her confidence visibly shaken but not defeated. As the three of them began sorting through the mess, Jake felt a flicker of purpose. This moment, chaotic as it was, offered an unexpected chance to connect. He glanced at his father, who was now working alongside Emma, and noticed that James's frown had lifted slightly. Maybe they could both learn something new today. "Do you like working here?" Jake asked Emma, trying to lighten the mood. "I do," she replied, her gaze softening. "I've always wanted to be part of a team, you know. Cleaning up spaces, bringing back a little life to things." She ran her finger over the rough edge of a book's spine. "It makes me feel fulfilled." Hearing her words sparked a realization in Jake. "That's kinda like what I was saying, Dad. Finding purpose in what you do." James paused mid-clean, absorbing the echoes of their discussion in the backdrop of this unfolding scene. It was there, amid the chaos, that both father and son glimpsed the value of passion, whether in grand ambitions or simple joys. As they sorted through the books together, the room gradually began to clear. Laughter broke out occasionally, shared glances, and light-hearted jabs. The atmosphere began to shift, transforming frustration into connection. By the time the last item was back in place, Jake felt a shift within himself, a newfound clarity, a sense that they were all moving forward together, even if just a little. "Thank you for helping," Emma said, wiping sweat from her brow. "I wasn't expecting any of this today." "Neither were we," Jake replied, a smile dancing across his lips. "Maybe unexpected things aren't so bad." Just then, Maria walked in, her face a mix of surprise and relief as she took in the scene. Her eyes landed on Emma, and she asked, "What's going on?" "Just a little mess and a lot of learning," Jake said, shooting James a glance filled with meaning. Maria nodded slowly, catching on. "Looks like you all handled it well." The energy felt lighter, a foundation for what perhaps could come next. Jake turned to James, a silent question lingering in the air. They had just navigated a mess together. Could this experience reshape their understanding of each other? "Next time you need to make a choice," James started, looking intently at Jake, "let's talk about how you feel." Jake's heart raced. Had the conversation they just shared taken root after the chaos? But before he could respond, Emma spoke up, her voice a tad more confident now. "I'd love to see just how that's done." Jake's gaze met Emma's, and for a moment, he felt a spark of excitement for what might unfold next. Could her presence become a bridge, uniting the lessons learned in this unexpected explosion of chaos? As the door swung shut behind them, Jake was acutely aware that this was just the beginning. Would these moments push them all toward the changes they sought? The answers teased just beyond reach, leaving tension and possibility swirling in the air. As they gathered around the comfortable sofa in the living room, the remnants of the toppled books still scattered about, an unfamiliar silence draped over the trio. The lively banter that had filled the air just moments ago faded into an expectation so thick it felt suffocating. Jake, feeling the weight of the moment, picked up a book from the floor, a worn-out copy of The Great Gatsby. Its pages were yellowed with age, perfectly echoing the bittersweet nostalgia he felt toward the situation. I always thought about how Gatsby was chasing dreams. Maybe we all are, he mused aloud, glancing between Emma and his father. James raised an eyebrow, intrigued yet cautious. Dreams? What are yours? Jake opened his mouth but hesitated. This was a rare opportunity to share, to dig deeper, and it terrified him. I want to, I don't know, make a difference, maybe? Help people find meaning in their lives, like you just said, he admitted, casting a glance toward Emma, sensing her encouragement in her wide eyes. Building connections and understanding each other, it's all part of it, Emma added softly, her passion shining through her voice. I feel like I'm still figuring it out myself. James leaned back, crossing his arms. He had always portrayed certainty in his own path, driven by wealth and success. But hearing his son and this stranger express their struggles shook something loose inside him. We all are, he finally acknowledged, his voice quieter. In that moment, vulnerability filled the room. A sense of shared humanity blossomed in the most unexpected space. Jake felt a bond forming, a thread woven through their stories, 3 different lives converging over a mere accident. Do you want to join us tomorrow? Jake asked Emma, startling even himself with his spontaneous invitation. We could all help clean up the old shed at the back of the property. It's a disaster, way worse than this place. Emma's face lit up, her surprise evident. Really? You'd let me? Of course, Jake replied. You know how to tackle messes. Besides, maybe we can all find a little purpose in the work. A smile broke through James's usually stoic demeanor. I will, too. It seems we could all use a bit more team spirit. The corners of his mouth twitched upward, hinting at a genuine smile. As they shared a laugh over the absurdity of cleaning a mess together, the tension that once weighed heavily in the air lifted. It felt like the first real steps toward a different kind of relationship, the kind that bridged generations, filled with compassion and understanding. Maybe, Jake leaned in, eyes sparkling with mischief, we can make it a competition. Whoever cleans the most gets a prize. Emma laughed, I'm in. Just be warned, I'm pretty competitive. Before laughing could transform into nervousness, Maria's voice came from the kitchen. What's this about a prize? All 3 turned to her, grinning as if they shared a secret. Slowly, the conversation shifted to light-hearted teasing, an easy rapport blooming among them. But in the back of Jake's mind, there remained a flicker of concern. How long could this new bond last? Was it rooted in the chaos of the day or something more profound? As the laughter echoed around the room, he wondered what challenges lay ahead, the messes, both physical and emotional, yet to come. With the evening sun slipping away, casting a golden glow across the room, he resisted the urge to overthink. Instead, he took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of connection to sink in. This was more than just cleaning, it was about rebuilding hearts and homes alike. What would tomorrow bring? Jake felt the excitement buzz within him, an energy that hinted at change, at transformation. Would they truly learn to rely on one another, or would this feel like a fleeting moment, a brief spark in their lives? Only time would tell. The morning light poured through the kitchen window, painting the room in golden hues. Jake was already up, anticipation bubbling inside him. He could hardly believe what lay ahead. Today was about more than just cleaning out a shed, it felt monumental somehow. It was a chance to build connections and redefine family, especially with his father. After breakfast, the 3 of them loaded up supplies, garbage bags, brooms, and some old rakes that had seen better days. The air buzzed with anticipation. You're going down, Jake, Emma joked, her laughter brightening the early hour. James chuckled. You might want to reconsider your strategy. I've got years of experience in organization. Years of experience in organizing a boardroom, maybe, Jake shot back mischievously. The banter paved the way for an easy camaraderie, a discussion against a backdrop of potential discovery. Once they reached the shed, Jake hesitated for a moment, the door creaking like an ancient secret. The sight inside was disheartening, a mountain of dust, forgotten furniture, and relics of a time gone by. It felt overwhelming, but with Emma and his father beside him, he felt ready to tackle it. "Let us tackle this beast," Emma declared, her enthusiasm infectious. Armed with determination, the trio began pulling things out, trashing items that had no value and deciding which items were salvageable. With each piece removed, it felt as if they were taking some weight off their shoulders as well. Jake found a rusted bicycle. Memories flooded back of summer days riding around the property with James. It felt unexpectedly poignant. "Hey Dad, remember this?" he asked, holding it up. A flicker of joy crossed James's face. "We had some good times on that bike," he replied, vulnerability breaking through his usual guard. "I'm not sure how many times I had to patch that tire." They shared a laugh that felt genuine, a glimpse of the father-son relationship that had been buried under layers of seriousness. Emma chimed in, "Maybe you can both take it for a spin later, little competition between the two of you." James grinned, amusement shining in his eyes. "Prepare to lose, Jake." As the hours passed, and the shed slowly transformed, the jokes kept flowing, but they also began to share genuine thoughts. Emma opened up about her struggles at college. Jake shared inner thoughts about feeling lost after graduation. Each little confession was a building block, fortifying their connection. Amid the labor, Jake couldn't shake the thought of how quickly things had changed. Just a day ago, they were strangers standing on shaky ground. Today, they were a team, finding strength in vulnerability. But as the day grew long and tired muscles began to complain, the lively atmosphere shifted. James paused, wiping sweat from his brow, and looked at them both. "You know, I didn't realize how isolated I've been. Maybe I've gotten too caught up in success and forgot what truly matters." That admission hung in the air, a blend of regret and revelation. Jake glanced at Emma, who seemed struck by the honesty. The shed had become a catharsis, a place of shedding not just physical objects but their guarded facades. With time slipping away, Jake initiated a moment of silence. They stood there, surrounded by the remnants of their lives. "We've done good work," he said quietly, feeling the weight of their progress. However, beneath the surface, worry unfurled within him. What now? Would this newfound connection endure beyond this day? What if tomorrow felt like the before? And then, with a sudden surge of determination, he spoke up, "So how about this, you both come back next weekend? We can tackle the rest of the yard together. Keep this going." James nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I'd like that, I really would." Emma's eyes sparkled. "Count me in. This is just the beginning." The warmth of agreement ignited inside him, a promise of continuing what had begun. But that uncertainty still lingered, questions whispering in the back of his mind. What layers would they uncover next? Would they be strong enough to face whatever lay beyond those walls they helped dismantle? Or would past pains resurface like hidden relics, testing their new bond? As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a serene glow, Jake felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Tomorrow would reveal their true potential. Would they rise to the challenge? Only time would tell. The week seemed to stretch in front of Jake, a glimmering horizon painted with hope and uncertainty. Each day passed with a growing eagerness mixed with trepidation. His mind replayed every laugh, every shared story from the weekend, the way his father's face lit up when he had shared that memory of the bike, the little spark of connection that had ignited. Jake clung to it like a lifeline, fearing its fragile nature. Friday arrived, and with it a sweet rush of anticipation. The familiar feeling of the upcoming weekend resonated with unspoken promises hanging in the air. Emma was already texting about the plans for Saturday, especially a renewed focus on the yard. "Think we can make it a picnic once we finish?" she had suggested, with cheerful emoji flair that made Jake chuckle. When Saturday finally came, Jake woke up early, heart pounding in excitement. The morning was bright, and the golden rays reminded him of the warmth they had shared last week. He brewed coffee, the aroma filling the kitchen, coaxing thoughts of his father and Emma out of the sleepy haze. Just before 8, he heard the crunch of gravel outside, and a light knock broke his concentration. It was James, looking slightly uneasy but determined, as if he were stepping into a new role not just as a father but as a partner in discovery. "Ready to get going?" he asked, a smile breaking through his reserved demeanor. "Absolutely," Jake replied, pushing down any lingering doubts. Emma showed up a few minutes later, laden with snacks and a vibrant blanket for their picnic. "I brought your favorite chips," she said with a cheeky grin. Together, they embarked for the yard, buoyed by camaraderie, ready to unearth whatever lay beneath the overgrown weeds and forgotten treasures. As they approached the shed, Jake's heart raced. Last week, they had forged something special. He hoped today would not only solidify that bond but also delve deeper into the past, into old hurts and new beginnings. They began clearing again, the rhythmic rustle of leaves and shuffles of feet creating a comforting melody. The initial laughter resumed as Emma found a stray soccer ball hidden under a pile of leaves, prompting a mini kickoff between the three of them. It felt liberating, playful, like he was reconnecting with parts of himself that he thought were lost forever in the demands of adulthood. But the air shifted as they took a break, lounging on the blanket with snacks spread out before them. James cleared his throat, the edges of his expression becoming serious. "You know, Jake, there's more stuff in here apart from just memories. There are things I want to talk to you about us." The weight of the moment sank in. Jake caught Emma's eye, she nodded subtly, urging him to listen. "What do you mean?" Jake asked tentatively, feeling the intensity of the words hanging between them. "I've spent so much time focused on work, on what I thought was important, but I never fully realized how far I had distanced myself from you. There's so much about your life I missed, your struggles, your successes. I want to be a part of them." Jake felt a lump form in his throat. This was at the moment he had hoped for but feared at the same time. Would stepping toward this openness catalyze a change, or would the walls rise up once more? "Dad, it's okay. I just want us to move forward." "It's hard for me too," he confessed, letting vulnerability seep into his voice. The air around them felt charged, every unspoken thought surfacing like ghosts they could finally confront. Just then, Emma broke the silence, her gentle tone cutting through the intensity. "I think we can work through this, all of us together," she said, her eyes warm and encouraging. Jake looked around, realizing this moment could be a turning point. But just as hope blossomed, uncertainty crept back. What depths would they explore? Would they ultimately embrace their shared past, or were there more secrets buried beneath the surface? As the sun dipped lower in the sky again, shadows lengthening across the yard, Jake felt a twinge of fear but also an inkling of strength. They were on the brink of something vast and unscripted. Would they rise to the occasion when faced with the truth, or crumble under the weight of their silences? The moment hung in the air like a fragile balloon, full of potential, yet so easily popped by a stray thought. Jake didn't know whether to speak or stay silent, to press for more or let the moment simmer. He glanced at James, and he saw the flicker in his father's eyes, a desperate need for understanding, connection, something more than just being two strangers sharing a family name. "Dad," Jake murmured, feeling a wave of weight wash over him. "What happened between us? It's like we've been living parallel lives. I don't even know you anymore." The admission felt both liberating and terrifying, a door swinging open to possibilities he had avoided for too long. "I know." James's voice was thick with emotion. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar that it grounded Jake in time. "I was caught up in a cycle, work, money, it consumed everything. I can't even begin to explain how much I regret missing out on you growing up." Jake's stomach twisted. As much as he wanted to be angry, a part of him ached for that vulnerability from James. "Do you know what it was like? Watching you leave every morning, never knowing if you loved me or if you'd even care to ask about my day." "I did love you, Jake," James said, his voice breaking. I just lost my way, but I want to find that way back. Can we start fresh? I want to know the real you. The sincerity in those eyes, the pain reflected in the furrow of James's brow, tugged fiercely at Jake's heart. Yet the lingering fear clawed at him. What if you leave again? He realized he was whispering, vulnerability slipping through his lips, unshielded. Emma shifted closer on the blanket, her presence a warm anchor. It's okay to be scared, Jake. Change isn't easy for anyone. She reached for his hand, holding it between both of hers, an affirmation of support and strength. I'm scared too, James confessed, his honesty echoing the sentiment in Jake's heart. I don't want things to go back to how they were. I want to be a better father, so much better. A part of Jake wanted to pull away, to protect himself from the inevitable disappointment. Yet another part, the part that had longed for this very moment, yearned to believe in the possibility of change. They stayed silent for a heartbeat, the weight of their shared emotions hanging like a heavy mist around them. Jake looked towards the yard, where remnants of their playful afternoon lay, scattered bits of laughter entwined with echoes of the past. What if we made a promise? He suggested, his voice barely louder than a whisper. It starts with doing things differently. Not just today, but every day. Share experiences, share dinners, and really listen. No distractions. A glimmer sparked in James's eyes, hope nudging its way into the cracks. I'd do like that, son. Let us pave a new path together. A sense of newness fluttered inside Jake, pushing through the apprehension that shadowed him. He could see fragments of a brighter future forming, a father and son learning to communicate, to connect, creating memories that built a new legacy. As they each took a deep breath, a tightness relaxed in Jake's chest. Yet, even as the atmosphere lightened, another specter loomed. What if the past wasn't as buried as they hoped? Just then, Emma's phone buzzed, the backdrop of their growing connection, interrupting the delicate flow. She glanced down, her expression turning serious as she read a message. Oh, she said, frowning. We have to talk about something serious too, guys. The joyous ease that had been building shifted like wind before a storm, leaving Jake feeling unsteady as he wondered what news could possibly change the trajectory of their fragile moment. Would they ride this new wave of honesty together, or would old shadows threaten their newfound connection? The tension in the air thickened. Jake's heart raced, hurrying thoughts swirling like leaves in the wind. He glanced at Emma, who appeared unsure, a crease forming on her brow. What is it? James prompted, concern filling his tone. Emma took a deep breath, her courage threading into every word. It's about me and my job. I was called in yesterday, and it turns out I might lose it because of budget cuts. Her voice wavered, revealing the weight of the news as she met their gazes. The room fell into a heavy silence, the burden of her revelation chilling the warmth that had started to envelop them. Jake's stomach dropped, he could see the flicker of worry in Emma's eyes. After everything they had begun to build, it felt like another obstacle had been thrown into their path. James's expression changed, the fatherly instinct kicking in. Is there any way we can help? His concern transformed into determination, a spark igniting his protective nature. Emma's shoulders sagged. I just need to take on extra jobs and hope for the best. It's been hard, and I wasn't sure how to tell you guys. Jake felt a surge of solidarity for her struggle. You're always there for us. We can support you too. Maybe we can do something to help. His words hung in the air like an unlit lantern waiting for a flame. Maria, who had quietly listened from the background, stepped forward. You're not alone, Emma. We can find ways to come together. Her work ethic and kindness echoed in her voice. This moment felt like a rallying point, a testament to their growing connection. James nodded, his brow furrowing in thought. Why not organize a community event? We can raise awareness about employment issues and gather support. We can leverage the connections I have. The idea hung in the air, bursting with potential. Jake's eyes widened. Yes. And we can even get people to help. Team cleaning days, fun activities, something that brings everyone together. Emma's eyes sparkled with newfound hope. It'd just be amazing if we could show people they're not alone in this. The prospect warmed Jake's heart. We could establish a little group to coordinate it all. Everyone deserves a chance to thrive. In that moment, he realized their shared determination could become a beacon of hope, illuminating not just Emma's path but also nurturing the fragile connections they had forged over the last week. James's face softened, pride twinkling in his eyes. "Let us do it. Let us show support for each other," he said, his voice charged with purpose. As laughter returned, the weight dissipated. They brainstormed ideas and laughter mixed with serious discussions, moments flickering by like fireflies lighting up the dark. Their bond grew stronger, carved from uncertainty into something richer and more meaningful. In the evening light, as they finished the last of the snacks, Jake caught his father's gaze. "I think we're starting to understand each other now." James smiled, a genuine expression of warmth finally taking the place of the long-held hesitations. "We are, and we're going to keep learning." At that moment, the sun dipped below the horizon, setting the world aglow with hues of orange and purple, reflecting the brightness blooming within them. Jake could just feel that this was the start of something beautiful, a pathway toward healing. They stood together, a circle of support against the unyielding backdrop of life. Stepping into this new reality, Jake felt a comforting realization. They could weather any storm as long as they faced it together. "Here's to new beginnings," Emma toasted, laughter bubbling forth, her reconnecting joy lighting the evening air. And as they raised their glasses, a simple moment bursting with unlimited potential. Jake knew they would face the complexities of life as a family, learning and growing. It was in these moments of vulnerability and connection they could truly shine. The togetherness forged in hardship would become their greatest strength, opening the door to a future woven with authenticity, love, and purpose. As the stars twinkled high above, Jake couldn't help but feel a new dawn approaching, a promise of transformation ready to illuminate their lives together. Now, hold on for what comes next. Make sure to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel, so let's grow this amazing community together.